Hey everyone, Mitch coming in for the Commander's Core Studio. Welcome to the show. Okay, so spoiler season rages on, and yeah, I've had a little more time to jump into a couple more spoilers. I mean, they came out with an absurd amount of spoilers right away. Like, I think it was like 59 or so. So, yeah, we're going to go with this at a pace that I can handle right now. So, first up, let's talk about Sidisi, Regent of the Mire. A 1/3 Zombie Snake Warlock, because that's a thing, of course, that costs 2 mana in black and has, get ready for this, tap, sacrifice a creature you control with mana value X other than Sidisi, return target creature card with mana value X plus 1 from your graveyard to the battlefield, activate only as a sorcery. Okay, just digest that really quick, okay? And then think about a couple of other commanders that might be comparable to. Just digest really quick. I'll give you a minute, okay? Maybe not a full minute. Here we go. Okay, you good? Okay, yeah. This kind of seems like, Prime Speaker, Vanifar, but out of the graveyard instead-ish? Is that kind of where you're going, but also just 2 mana for this? Now, when it comes to Prime Speaker, Vanifar, and just kind of how broken that can be, obviously, when it comes to, like, a, pod commander, essentially, right? That's more so, like, tutoring. This is reanimating. There is a difference, obviously, between those two things. That being said, if you get the right creatures in your graveyard, yeah, you can do some crazy things with this. Now, what does limit this one, thank goodness, in comparison to those, is this is mono black, meaning that you don't have all those, hey, enter the battlefield, untap, enter the battlefield, untap, enter the battlefield, untap, enter the battlefield, untap. Because that's how this would obviously go infinite. Now, I'm sure there are still ways to go infinite with this one, of course. It's only sorcery speed, though, so there is that nice little limitation when it comes to not having to worry about going up against this. Now, do I like it being sorcery speed? No, but many of you know my opinion on, those words on a card, typically. That being said, yeah, I mean, there are certain probably combinations you can do where you have, like, things entering, things reanimating other things. Yeah, I'm sure there's definitely some infinite combos. Someone in the comments will let me know an infinite combo around this one right now, please. Thank you. Regardless, Sidisi is back at it somehow. I think this set's in the future, right, from our previous Tarkir stuff. So, Sidisi, zombie, still alive. Good for you, Sidisi. Very exciting, though. Yeah, in general, reanimation, yeah, you can definitely utilize some things that maybe can cheat on mana cost, maybe like a delve creature or something like that, obviously, where you could then, yeah, get that in your graveyard, or, sacrifice that, get something bigger in your graveyard and get that out easier, or just, yeah, chain things again and again and again and again. It's a very exciting commander, and one that I would probably more so take advantage of specific ETBs, like from creatures. Like, I would get Gary, I would, like, entomb Gary into my graveyard, I would sacrifice something at 4, I would get Gary out. I would sacrifice Gary with something else, get it back in my graveyard, sacrifice something else at 4, get Gary back out. You see where this is going. Lots of Gary, Great Merchant Hospital, and drain opponents. Sounds like fun. Okay, moving on. Next up. Speaking of fun, right? Wizards fun! Yay! Voice of Victory. Okay. All right, if you play Grand Abolisher, you're going to be playing this one. Let's just start off with that. If you're playing, oh, goodness gracious, Najeela, you're probably going to be like, yeah, probably that as well. Yeah, if you got Human Tribal, Bard Tribal, if that's a thing, you're going to be maybe considering that. That being said, your friends might not like you very much. A 1/3 Human Bard for 2 mana in white, mobilized 2. Your opponents can't cast spells during your turn. So, Grand Abolisher, this is not quite there, right? Grand Abolisher has a lot more things that it limits your opponents from doing. That being said, the main thing that you are limiting your opponent from doing is the main thing you really care about. Hey, opponents, you can't do anything during my turn when it comes to casting spells, which is basically what your opponents usually are just doing. So, you don't have to worry about really anything being countered ever. And yes, I know there's like, well, what about Willbender? Sure, okay, yes, there are certain things that could still stop you. Those are rare and few and far between. This, though, is like, oh my gosh. And I'm skipping over actually Mobilize 2, which is kind of crazy. Here we go. So Mobilize 2 is a new thing. Mobilize is a new thing. Whenever this creature attacks, create 2 tapped and attacking 1/1 red warrior creature token. Sacrifice them to begin next end step. So basically, you temporarily get some attackers. Cool, good for you. They're going to go away. Unless, I think Maro's teaser had like, hey, like, you can't sacrifice warriors on your end step. It's like, oh, okay, this makes sense now as to why that's a thing. Or if you've got a way to maybe like end the turn, you know, like a, oh gosh, Sundial of the Infinite. There we go. So basically there are certain ways to do that. That being said, yeah, I would find ways to essentially, use this as a way to, stop your opponents from doing anything on your turn. So you're probably just utilizing this to, make sure the opponents can't counter things, and also make sure that your opponents lose the game when you combo off more. So is probably what this is probably a card that I don't play CDH, but I think this is probably going to see some CDH play because, well, it's easier to cast than Grand Abolisher, right? Because it's just 1 pip instead of 2. And, it does, like, the main thing you want it to do. And, again, Najeela's going to want it because of Warriors. Cool. Token production. If you've got, like, token doublers, obviously that can be crazy as well, and you get to keep the tokens that you're making doubled. The doublers. This is a very good card. A very solid card. It's gross and disgusting, and I really hope I don't get to play against it because I like to interact on my opponent's turns. But, hate bear decks are just going to love this, as well as more powerful decks out there, warrior decks too, and human decks, sure, and ones that just want to stop your opponents from stopping you from comboing off. There we go. Voice of Victory, I mean, that's just a very apt name. Like, okay, like I play it, this tells my opponents I win, and it's singing. Here we go, moving on. We've got Temur Battlecrier. 4/3 Orc Ranger for 3 mana in Temur. Does that Orc look more so like out of World of Warcraft? Anyone? No? Okay, I don't remember Orcs being like that in the original Temur. Okay, I mean not original Temur, an original Tarkir. Okay. During a turn, spells you cast cost 1 less to cast for each creature you control power 4 or greater. This is a slam dunk kind of card. This is pretty crazy. This is a card where it's like, hey, cost reduction's a powerful thing. Well, let's just do that to the max, shall we? So essentially being able to say, okay, I've got a 4/3 for 3. That's not, all that great when it comes to, power these days. I mean, it's nice that it's a 4/3 versus a 3/3. What you really care about, obviously, is just mass cost reduction. And of course, this having 4 power makes it so that, again, it doesn't say each other creature you control. This counts itself. So at the least, it's going to make your spells during your turn cost 1 less to cast, which is already amazing and awesome. But of course, if you've got more and more 4/4s, look out opponents because your spells are going to cost basically nothing. So of course, in like a Temur style, like big creatures deck, you're going to have fun with that. If you've got like a big mana deck, like an X-Spell deck that utilizes these colors, good luck with that. You're going to have fun. So yeah, this is something that, again, it's not for every deck out there, but it is like a slam dunk card for the right deck. Yeah, if you've got a good amount of big creatures in your deck, or a good amount of ways to make big creatures, or even if you just have a couple, but you're like, this already reduces by 1. I probably have like my commander, which has power 4 greater, reduces by 2 then. That might be worth it for certain decks out there if you're like, I've got a a really gross deck and I really want to make all my spells cost less. If you've got a storm deck, you might consider it as well, just because, well, cost reduction in storm decks is gross and disgusting and amazing. So yeah, pretty good, I would say. Any kind of like a creature-based deck, is going to want to consider this. Like heavy creature with good amount of power-based deck. You can do some crazy things. Like, I mean, I guess like Animar comes to mind, but like Animar already reduces the cost of everything by Oblivion. So I don't know if it's going to make the cut in that because this doesn't have any generic mana in it. But it's going to be pretty crazy. Okay, finally, here we go. We've got Teval, Arbiter of Virtue. This is yet another one of the teasers that is finally solved. A 6/6 Spirit Dragon with flying and lifelink for 5 mana. It seems like these days Wizards just can't make anything. Just a little point aside, that's like in green that doesn't have greater power and toughness than its mana value. It's like, you know what? It's in green. Therefore, must be bigger. Cool. All right, 6/6 flying lifelink. Spells you cast have Delve. This was one of the teasers that Maro threw out there, and I am very excited that this is on a commander. What also is on this commander is amazing. Whenever you cast a spell, you lose life equal to its mana value. So, massive downside with a massive upside. I love it. It does have lifelink, so it can gain you some life back, obviously, but yeah, you are just absolutely demolishing yourself when you're casting things, which is huge, and I love it. So there is that push and pull. But of course, with that, you can also utilize things like, I can't remember. There's, like Soul Conduit, okay, is like one. It's like cost 6, pay 6, tap, switch life totals with an opponent. Awesome. Or have 2 players switch life totals, whatever that is. So yeah, you're down to like 1 life, and you're like, well, I've lived a good life, Switch life totals. I'm back up to 40 and you're at 1. Yay! So yeah, being able to do that can be absolutely amazing. And of course, I mean, utilizing, gosh, what's the one? It's 7 mana in black, and everyone goes down to the lowest life total, essentially. So yeah, you can utilize something like that, too, to, like, basically finish your opponents off. And of course, there's life gain cards, too, that you can utilize. But at the very least, just like spells you cast have Delve, being like, okay, yeah, I delve a ton. Great. Yeah, I draw a ton of cards with Brain Geyser or whatever. Cool, Brain Geyser. I mean, sure, that one, Brain Geyser. Why not? That came to mind. Or how about, like, Exsanguinate, of course. Like, yeah, being able to just, like, self-mill a ton, that's quite easy. There's great ways to do it. I mean, you could just, like, morality shift yourself and just, like, all of a sudden your library is your graveyard's your library. And you've got, like, 80 cards in your graveyard, and you're like, okay, cool. Got a bunch of X spells. Let's just cast a ton. But, of course, you do have to keep in mind that yeah, again, you lose life equals mana value, so you need to make sure that you've got ways to mitigate your life loss, or, you know, again, not lose. Regardless, this is a very exciting commander. It's one that can take advantage of a lot of things, and yeah, I would definitely work into self-mill, probably tutoring up for certain cards, if you want to go that way, and of course, yeah, ways to either swap your life, or ways to make everyone's life total low, so you can just make them all just get in the muck and the mire with you, and they're just all, you know, pretty much dead. Cool, good for you. Regardless, a very exciting commander, one that can be a 3-shot KO very, very easily. Unfortunately for you, you're not in the 2 colors that have, I mean, basically, you know, all of the double strike effects. So, yeah, I mean, outside of, like, Fire Shrieker, cool. I mean, utilize those. But, yeah, you've got different ways that you can gain more life with this. Ways to pump it, of course, like ways to double up its power and toughness as well. So, do keep in mind those. Yeah, this is a commander where you can gain a ton of life by hitting. You can turn to Voltron Commander, and of course you can cast some absolutely massive spells and do some life swaps. So yeah, there's a lot going on with this one, and I absolutely love that. I love the design. And with that, this episode is coming to a close. Comment below with your thoughts on it, and of course, as always, thanks again, and have a good one. This show and episodes like this one are possible thanks to viewers like you. If you're looking for an easy way to help support this show, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Also, hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss any new episodes. You can also go check out our playmats and other merchandise at thecommandersquarters.com. Another easy way to support this show is with our TCG player affiliate links. So whether you're buying a deck or individual cards, you can use this general link right here or one in the description. And the final way that you can support this show is by supporting us directly by becoming a patron. There are many benefits to being a patron, and I truly couldn't do this without all of their support.